think I'm a little rusty at this thing. Last year I commemorated 150 episodes of TV trash by reviewing one of the earliest cartoon adaptations of video games, Saturday Supercade. Supercade was a bizarre and insane series featuring cartoon shorts adapted from multiple games of the 80s. The creators really had to wander into some crazy ideas in order to take game characters that barely had any story whatsoever and turn them into full adventures that would keep audiences' attentions at all. But it definitely wasn't the first cartoon show based off a video game, and maybe not even the craziest. 1 year earlier, Hanna-Barbera began the trend by adapting perhaps the most famous video game character of all time. Oh yes, in honor of the character's 35th anniversary, it's finally time to look at the Pac-Man cartoon. Based off of Namco's classic video game, the Pac-Man animated series originally aired on NBC in 1982, adapted for television by Jeffrey Scott, whose credits would also include developing Muppet Babies and being the one left to put the first Ninja Turtles series to a close after David Wise bailed out on that show in frustration. But how do you make an animated series based on a moon-shaped character that does nothing but eat pellets like a rat in a maze while ripping off Fozzie Bear's catchphrase? Let's see how they went about it.
Pac-Man. That's me. Pac-Man.
Oh! I must have those power pellets! Go find me the power pellet bonus!
Ladies and gentlemen, Animation 100, how to not even try! I mean, forget how lazy the animation is, at least Supercade would put out the effort into making a kick-ass opening theme song that still to me is one of the catchiest to come out of the 80s. This show? Man, let's just crank out some rehashed version of Turkey in the Straw played by some kid's calliope. So we see the first episode of this show as it takes place in, Pac-Land, I guess, where our title character lives with Ms. Pac-Man and Baby Pac-Man. And yes, from what I can hear, she's referred to as Miss Pac-Man. So yeah, pretty risky for a cartoon of this period to have a couple living together with a kid out of wedlock. Bristol Palin would love this character. And if you think I was overreacting about the cheap animation, just look at this first scene from the first episode.
We're gonna chomp on his bones this time!
I mean, geez, at least the Flintstones tried to sync it up so the characters didn't look like they were walking on air. So this is pretty much how every episode starts, with our title character Pac-Man being chased by the ghost monsters. And no, don't ask me why they have to be called the ghost monsters all the time in this show. Until he manages to find and gobble up multiple power pellets, and then this happens.
Back power! Let's get out of here!
And yes, often at times they don't even bother keeping the ghosts the purple color, even when Pac is supposedly still powered up. Because why actually put effort into your animation work at all? I mean, it's not like studios will ever be able to ship those jobs over to the Far East or anything. So Pac eats each of the ghosts alive, I'll get to how they deal with that in a minute, and the eyeballs that are left run away to the ghost house. Or in this case, the lair of their boss, this giant Sith Lord reject called Mesmeron.
Those fool ghost monsters. Where are they? Aha! I might have known you'd blunder again. Hiya, boss. You'll never guess how we messed up this time. I don't have to guess. I saw it all on my Pac-Land spy satellite.
Mesmeron desires the power pellets that give the Pac people their energy, which means Pac-Man is their target since he is the head of security for the power pellet forest. Yes, the power pellets actually grow on trees, which robs me of the easiest joke to make in regards to how much they waste power pellets in this land. They just didn't know how valuable their resources were until power pellet prices skyrocketed after the turn of the century. Mesmeron just may be the dumbest villain I've ever seen. Forget that he keeps relying on these bumbling spooks at all. This guy has satellite surveillance over all of Pac-Land, and yet he can't find the power pellet forest that way. He has to keep making these guys look for it. I know outsourcing and delegating is par for the course for a supervillain, but dude, maybe you should sometimes buy into that whole if you want to do something right philosophy. Yes, it's revealed in one episode that they can actually hide the power pellet forest underground, but it's clearly not submerged all the time, and they only go to that measure when they believe the forest is in immediate danger. Heck, there actually are times when the ghosts do find the forest one way or another, only to get naturally chomped when they get there, and yet, even though they can find their way from the forest to Mesmeron's lair, they can't remember how to get back to the forest.
We found the power forest for you.
Where is it?
I wasn't watching when they drove the crate in. I thought you guys were watching.
I wasn't watching. Were you watching?
Not me. I thought you were watching. Shut up, you blundering fools!
Mesmeron apparently subscribes to the school of take the dumb ones because they can be paid the least. Wonder if Dr. Draken read his book. What's worse is what little discerning personalities the ghosts have in this show, they got wrong. Okay, they did make Inky one of the stupider members of the group, but then they made Blinky one of the other big bumblers, while Clyde is somehow the leader of the group. It was the other way around in the game. Meanwhile, Pinky has this ability to transform himself, which he mostly uses to just disguise himself from Pac, and I think you can guess how often that works. I'd ask why he just doesn't turn himself into a bomb and nuke Pac-Land, but knowing him, I think I know how well that would turn out. Sue, who's purple in this show, despite being orange in the game since she was the counterpart to Clyde, is the only one that actually shows some intelligence. But when you're the one female in a gang of absolute buffoons, you're pretty much left to shake your head at your colleagues' bumbling. Seriously, this was the real trend in just about all the cartoons I grew up with, where the female was the one intelligent person, where all the men were the idiots. Where is this stuff about females being portrayed negatively again? So as you can probably guess, this show has about as predictable a story formula as you might expect from a cartoon of this time period. After Pac chomps the ghosts once, and yes, it's called chomping rather than eating in this show, kind of like how monsters were zapped in the Zelda cartoon, they retreat back home to get new ghost suits, and Mesmeron reveals his latest plan to try and find the power forest, and ultimately the plan is thwarted when Pac chomps everyone again.
The 5 of you are going to take over the Yellow House, home of the Pac president.
Nice going, Pac-Prez.
Thanks. I haven't had a good chomp since the election. You've wasted your time chomping those fools, Pac-Man. Now that I have the power force, I don't need them any longer.
But there's something you should know about the power pellet trees.
What's that?
They're very obedient. Come on, fellas. Time to find a new home where Mesmeron will never find us.
No! Hey, stop! Oh, come back to my power forest! Oh, you can't do this to me! I've worked too hard for this moment! Oh, come back, please!
Each show did contain 2 episodes. While one used the aforementioned story structure, the other usually involved the ghost monsters out on their own rather than acting under Mesmeron's orders. And the lot usually just involved them trying to be a nuisance to Pac-Man and family.
Okay, Pac-Mutt, bring us back to your master.
This is gonna work like a charm.
Oh!
So yeah, they're pretty much like the Thirsties from the Kool-Aid Man comics, just trying to ruin people's fun.
Packy, look! A shark!
2 of them.
2 of them? Yay!
And the sad part is, those may have been the more entertaining episodes. Granted, that's like picking out the best cheap stolen crap at a pawn shop, but at least they ran with a more comedic aspect, like the ghosts trying to ruin Pac's picnic with family, or this camping trip with Baby Pac and the fellow Pac Scouts. Yeah, the second half basically switched over from an action-adventure to a TGIF sitcom from the 90s. The show did manage to get a second season, although it came with a change in direction as Don Doherty replaced Jeffrey Scott as head writer. And his plan to breathe life into the show was to add a superhero character that basically tries to steal the show from the title one. They also gave Pac a cousin named PJ, whose very first appearance was so the show could shoehorn in an episode telling kids to stay in school. Yeah, it's bad enough when a new writer tries to force in his own creations on a good show, Venus and Milo. But when you do it on a show where the main characters were already as bland as instant oatmeal, you come off as desperate. And not surprisingly, it didn't work, as the second season only had about half as many new half-hour shows made before getting the axe. The show ran on reruns for a few years on networks like USA before dropping off, but both seasons are now available through the Warner Archive collection. Then again, the Warner Archive also includes the Herculoids, Chuck Norris Karate Commandos, the Super Globetrotters, and Josie and the Pussycats in outer space. No, I'm still not over the Alf cartoon not having a full DVD set when stuff like this can get on. Well, when people like you are willing to pay $40 for a full set, shut up! I don't know if this is the worst cartoon adaptation of a video game ever, but it may be the dullest. Maybe there was some effort putting into creating a setting for such a lifeless game character, but there was just so little execution in making it work that everything from the characters to the stories come off as beyond generic and bland. Another cartoon did come out in 2013 called Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures, which is still airing on Disney XD at this time. Maybe I'll check it out one day and see if they did a better job with all these characters. But hey, if it wasn't for the Pac-Man cartoon, we might have never gotten Saturday's Supercade, or the Super Mario Bros. Super Show, or the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, or the Battletoads cartoon. Guys, did you ever finish that time machine?